Hi, first graders and first grade parents, Miss Pagan here. Today we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday for our journal writing. Yesterday you were able to write a topic sentence in your first detail. Today we're going to be working on our second detail, our third detail sentence, and finishing up with our conclusion. So you need to go ahead and make sure you have your journal or your paper out from yesterday and a pencil ready so that we can continue where we left off. So once you have your journal out and ready, we're gonna go ahead and go back to whichever page you're on. So this was my page from yesterday. What we're going to do is go into our second detail sentence. Remember our question from yesterday was, what are some things you could learn about animals by studying them? So yesterday you came up with one thing you could learn from studying an animal that you drew. Today we're gonna come up with our next detail. So it's really important before you start writing to make sure you are saying out loud your idea, because then when we go to write it, it's going to flow a little bit easier. So you need to let your parent or a sibling, whoever you're working with, know what is your second idea. And you can use a sentence starter that I wrote up here on the board. We're going to start with those transition words again, like we've been working on this week. So we're going to use our second detail sentence starters. One of them is the word next with a comma. So we could say next, you can learn blank. So what is something you could learn about an animal by studying it? Again, think about their behavior, how they eat, how they sleep, where they live, what makes them happy. So those are some things you could think about when you're thinking about what you can learn about an animal by studying it. You could also use in addition, comma, you can learn blank. That's another choice. Another choice you can use is also, comma, you can learn blank. So you get to pick which one you would like to use, as long as you remember to start uppercase, make sure you have a comma, and make sure you end with a period. Just like the past 2 and 3 days, we have been working on our quick checks. So we're gonna make sure we are checking for a capital letter. At the beginning, we're gonna check our finger space in between words. We're gonna check for a period, and we're gonna go back and whisper read to ourselves to make sure it makes sense, to make sure our letters look nice on the line, and to make sure we haven't left anything out. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you some time to work on your second detail sentence, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to our third detail sentence. All right, hopefully you've had some time to finish your second detail sentence. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our third detail sentence. I wrote up 3 examples of sentence starters that you could use to write your detail sentence, and making sure that we remember that we always put a comma after our transition words and of course a period at the end. So the first one you could choose is finally, comma, you can learn blank. Last, comma, you can learn blank. Or lastly, comma, you can learn blank. Make sure you are sharing your idea with either a parent or a sibling, whoever you're working with, to make sure that you know what you're going to write before you start writing it so you don't get super stuck. So make sure you are sharing that idea about what you can learn by studying an animal. Again, thinking about their behavior, how they live, how they eat, how they sleep, how they play. Think about all those things when you're trying to come up with your idea. After you write your detail sentence, you always go back to those quick checks, checking for an uppercase letter at the beginning, finger space in between, checking for punctuation, including your comma after your transition word and your period, and then of course going back to reread to make sure that you've done your best work and that you haven't left anything out. After you finish your detail, we'll go ahead and finish our writing with our conclusion. All right, hopefully you've had some time to finish your third detail sentence. We're now going to move on to our conclusion sentence, our final sentence of our paragraph. I only wrote one up today because I want to give you a chance to either make your own or to copy this one if you'd like. Remember, our conclusion sentence really wants to go back and reflect our topic sentence. We should really kind of be saying the same thing, just in a little bit of a different way. So I'll go ahead and read what I wrote for my conclusion sentence. And again, you can use this one if you'd like, or if you would like to do your own and just change it a little bit, that's fine too. So mine says, these are the things you can learn by studying animals. So if you use this one, great. If you'd like to do your own, that's fine, as long as you mention a couple important things. You do have to mention that these are things we can learn, because that was what the question asked. What can we learn by studying animals? And of course, we have to mention something about studying animals. That's how we're learning those things, is by studying animals. So if you don't want to use this one, you don't have to. But those are two very important things that you have to make sure appear in your conclusion sentence, because those are also things that we mentioned in our topic sentence. When students have finished their conclusion sentence, they're going to want to go back and do the 4 quick checks that we've done with the capital, spacing, checking their punctuation, and going back to reread to check to see that it makes sense. What I like to have students then do is go back up to the top, starting from their topic sentence, and read all the way down through their conclusion, just to make sure they didn't miss anything, to make sure the whole thing flows and makes sense. Once they finish that, and if they finish their picture, then they're done for today. They've done a really, really nice job. Make sure you give them a high five for their hard work. So again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Miss Pagan, or you can reach out to your child's teacher. And I hope you have enjoyed learning how we do the 2 types of writing this week, our informational writing and our opinion writing. We'll be getting into some narrative writing in the next coming weeks. But I hope that you're finding that this is flowing and that your kids are excited to be writing again and drawing their pictures. And I, again, wish you the best of luck. Have a great day.